Hello, my dear friends, my dear masters, my dear gods. Welcome to the wonderful masterclass today that we are going to learn about a lot. And I would love to see your wonderful, beautiful faces. So, if it would be great if you can, switch on your videos so that I can, look at you and take the session forward. That would be great. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Whoever can switch on their videos, please do so. Hello, Krish. Hi, Manjula. Hello, Reena ma'am. Hello, Gina. Hi. Hello, everyone. So lovely to see you again. All right. So, this is going to be a wonderful session for everyone. And it would be great if everyone can join the live session so that you can really feel those energies and, um, ask the questions or share your experiences or share anything that you want to share. That would be great. So, my dear friends, today we are going to learn about promises. So, just imagine, scenario wherein uh, I announce this session called as Science of Promises and I don't turn up. How do you feel? Obviously, you'll start judging me, saying that, oh, she has announced a class on Science of Promises, but she only didn't keep up her promise. So something is wrong. Or maybe you'll be disappointed, or you'll be sad, or maybe you don't know what's happening, you'll be in confusion, whether it's there or not. Next time, again, if I say that, hey guys, I'm going to have the Signs of Promises class again next Saturday. So then you're like skeptical. Should I trust her again or not? Because last time she did this. So you're like, okay, let me check. Oh, she's here. Okay, wow. So that's a promise. And the promise is very, very, very important. And there's a whole lot of science behind these promises. Patriji always used to give a lot of importance to promises. That's why he used to think 10 times before he gave a word to anybody. And so before any further delay, my dear friends, let us delve into what is this science of promises all about and what should I learn from today. So I hope you are ready because this is something which is very, very important for all of us to learn about. So as we say that, a promise is very, very, very sacred. It's very sacred. In older parts of Asia, in the older times of in Asia, the sages used to say, you know, pran jaye par vachan na jaye. You know, one would rather die than to make a promise. But if we promise, then we must fulfill our promise to our death. So a promise is so important. A word is so important for all of us. And it would be great if you can, get a pen and a paper or something because we are going to do a little exercise on this as well later. And you can even, write down the points that you like, or you may forget, or, oh my God, this is nice. So that would be great. So, why should we learn about promises? Because our promises, when we make a promise, in a sense, when we make a promises, when we make a promise, we cause certain patterns in relation to our time. daily work, feelings, thoughts, or plans or motives. And our relationship with other people will change based on these promises, my dear friends. And let's imagine a set pattern. Like there's electrical field, there's a set pattern everywhere. And things are done automatically according to how it is set, how a pattern is set. And as long as everything is going according to the pattern, everything is fine. So the same thing causes when, as long as the promise continues, things go as they were planned to go. But when the promise is broken, the whole pattern of set activities of the physical, emotional, and mental levels and the set patterns of relationship are disturbed. Have you ever experienced this, my dear friends? When something is going as per plan, nothing changes, no disturbances are caused. But as long as your promise is, you're keeping up the promise, everything is fine. But once the promise is broken, everything changes. It doesn't matter whether it's a small promise or a big promise or the biggest promise. It doesn't matter. A promise is a promise is a promise is a promise. As simple as that. So, many physical, emotional, and mental disturbances and states of confusion are the result of broken promises, my dear friends. Whether it was a promise with a friend, a mother, father, or your own promise to yourself. People do not pay attention to this subtle factor. Do we pay attention to this subtle factor, my dear friends? Which plays a great role in our health, sanity, and behavior. Has this ever happened to you? In any way? Do you promise to your mother, father, or a friend, or a colleague, or a neighbor, or anybody of an acquaintance, your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, brother? We make so many promises. Promises from others or from our own self considerably damage our health and sanity if they are not met and fulfilled. If they're not met and fulfilled. Such power is there in promises. You must remember your childhood, During childhood, unfulfilled promises by parents or teachers and friends have such an effect on our system that we may even wait for the fulfillment of the promises for 70 years and run our life in accordance with the thought forms of the promises given to us long ago. Were you ever promised in your childhood by your mother or by your father, you know what, if you pass this exam, I'll give you a cycle. Or if you pass that exam, I'll take you to Disneyland. Something your parents must have promised to make you do something, to make you do something. So that those thought forms which were planted in the childhood, the betrayal or the broken promises stays with us, stays with us. And that is when the trust issues actually start. When we face the broken promises. Where do we start the trust issues? The trust issues start with broken promises. Even when it is the smallest promise, that even it doesn't even matter, but for the person who was promised, for that person it matters a lot, whether it be a child itself. So that is why, my dear friends, never ever ever make false promises to a child, especially. Never. So thus, my dear friends, a promise builds a prison around us and does not let us take self-activated actions. It does not. And throughout our life, wherever or whenever the promise is attached to any circumstance or event, we go through acute crisis, depressions, and failures. That is something we all have to learn about, understand about. And a promise forms a special thought form in our mind and a strong expectancy within our emotional vehicle. And sometimes even the awareness of the promise does not burn out such thought forms. And the expectancy of the lower mind brings in many rationalizations and let us hang on to the promise. We hang on to the expectation of the promise until unless it is fulfilled. Subconsciously, we hang on to that expectation that one day or the other, that promise will be fulfilled. Did you ever feel like that? And great depressions or disillusionments, inertia, which means laziness, and apathy are the result after the thought forms. And the expectations melt away. They melt away when all these things come. Depression comes, disillusionment comes, when all these things melt away. And in such cases, the best way to help is to find the promise and the one who promised it and dissipate the promise through analytical logic, replacing it with a spiritual challenge, and go ahead with life. And it is also helpful to analyze the one who made the promise and search for the motives behind the promise and the circumstances which were related to it. My dear friends, and it must be remembered that the moment of the dissolution of the promise is a moment of pain and suffering. You will also have a lot of pain and suffering when you're dissipating it. There's a struggle, inner struggle there. That there is a fight happening inside. And once this fight is over, there's nothing but joy. And joy will be witnessed by the observer. And it is very interesting, my dear friends, to, when the promiser builds a thought form within his mental field, mental arena. And if he fulfills the promise, this form melts away. That's all he has to do. Just have to fulfill the promise. And if you don't fulfill the promise, no matter how lightly you make it will bother you in subtle ways, creating confusion in your mind and behavior. You will not know why there is confusion in my mind, what is happening, why there is no clarity in my mind, why there is a foggy thing in my mind. Why am I behaving this way? You don't know, but because the electric pattern in your mind has been disturbed because you did not fulfill the promise. That is why it is happening. And if the promise is forgotten, okay, we make a promise. But we forget that we make a promise. We made a promise. Even if you forget that you made a promise, the thought form still exists. It doesn't go away just because you forgot about it. And it's registered as a defect in the mental computer, which does many things, many wrong things because of this invisible defect. I promised somebody, but I forgot. So what? No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. The thought form is still remaining. And it will be there until you fulfill that promise. No matter how lightly you made, you might have said it as a joke or whatever it is. When friends meet or when we go for a wedding or when we meet our relatives, they say, hey, why don't you come home for dinner? And what do you say? Oh, yes, of course I'll come for dinner. Do you really mean it? Will you really go their home for dinner? Okay, you take that word seriously and go to their home for dinner and surprise them. Say that, hey, you asked me to come for dinner. I'm here. Where is my dinner? And say, what's wrong with you? I just said it just like that. And you came for dinner. It was a joke. You took it seriously. So that is why we should stop speaking mechanically. Mean it. When you say something, mean it. Do you really want them to come home for dinner? You have to think about it. When you say that, yes, I will come home for dinner, do you really mean it? I don't know. You have to ask yourselves and you have to tell yourselves. Do you really mean it? Oh, of course I will come. And Patriji, whenever somebody asks him, how are you? He gets very angry, very angry. Nobody should ask anybody, how are you? Unless you really mean it. Unless you're really concerned. It should not be a mechanical thing. One time what happened was somebody asked somebody, how are you? Then he said, I am not well. Will you come and take care of me? I'm not well. Can you please come and take care of me? And the person didn't know what to say, how to react to that. Because the regular question is, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? That is the norm of the world. That is how it functions, mechanically. You don't expect an answer, I'm not feeling well, can you please come and take care of me? So then why do you ask? Why do you ask? That's the question. How are you? Is Control-Alt-Delete in PSSM's dictionary. Because Patriji believes that all meditators are always fine. They're always good. They're always perfect. Miraculous thinking, And the promise which is forgotten, my dear friends. And the thought form of a promise can be re-stimulated either in the mind of the one who promised or in the mind of the one who was promised. It can be re-stimulated. Because every time the thought form is re-stimulated, it takes away the clarity of the mind and creates minor or major disturbances in it. Have you ever gone through this? And in certain cases, one promises, but for a while does not carry it out. They keep delaying it. They just keep delaying it. Hey, you promised. Okay, I promise I'll do it. So what is the hurry? That's what we say. क्या जल्दी है? When you make a promise, fulfill it immediately. Or otherwise, the time that you have promised to the other person, fulfill it. And later he wants to meet the promise, but cannot find any opportunity to fulfill it because of many circumstances. Maybe that person vacated the body. Maybe that person went out of the country and it is not possible for you to fulfill the promise as the circumstance was earlier. Then what would happen there? That's still an unfulfilled promise. The thought form of the promise remains in our being as a sore spot until it is analyzed and dissipated. Did you ever make a false promise to anybody? Think about it. You might have. I mean, intentionally or unintentionally, forget that part. Do we make false promises? Yes or no? From the time that we wake up in the morning till the time we sleep, how many promises do we make? Which all promises are we fulfilling it? Which are false promises? Which are fake promises? Which are real promises? I would like to request everyone to write down the list of unfulfilled promises. I'll give you lots of time. We have lots of time to work upon ourselves. Take a sheet or take a book, write down every big and small promise that you have made to others that are unfulfilled still. It might be good to remember all the unfulfilled promises. When you're writing about this, it's like seeing yourself in a mirror, just as you are. The reality of yourself. You could have made a promise to your mother, father, friends, colleagues, wife, husband, children, relatives, neighbors. Doesn't matter, small, big. A promise is a promise. If it's too difficult to remember all the promises, you can do this exercise later as well. But don't forget to do this exercise, please. So I hope you got the point that you have to fulfill your promises, no matter how small or big it is. And as far as the false promises are concerned, my dear friends, Please never, ever, ever make any false promise just like that. Just because the other person will feel bad. Just because it is the norm, you know, just because it is how the society functions, or just because that's how things are. Just because others will consider to be ill manners if you don't say something. It is not so. So when we make false promises, they have a weak thought form of a promise in their minds. And this thought form gradually grows and bothers them because the one who was promised nourishes the weak thought form by the force of his expectation. Krish calls me to his home for lunch. Okay? And I say, yes, Krish, I will come home for lunch. Then I say, then I forget the promise, then I don't go for lunch. So what will Krish and Manjula do? They will prepare, get the vegetables, prepare the recipes, get ready for lunch. Oh, she is going to come for lunch and all. They'll be so prepared, so, looking forward to have lunch with me. And I don't turn up. That expectation is still there. You expect me to come and have lunch with you. But I just said, okay, I'll come. That's all. What's the big deal? Oh, they must have also forgotten, as I have forgotten. What will happen if you are in that situation? Expectancy. So that bothers them, my dear friends. And the thought form of a false promise not only becomes a promise, but also a hated thought form within us. And it is mostly such thought forms that weaken the memory and the clear thinking of a human being. Earlier, we understood about the clear thinking, isn't it? And one of the obstacles for clear thinking to attain is a false promise. And it is very helpful to review to find your promises and either dissolve them consciously or fulfill them if possible. And a promise has a form element. It has etheric, astral, mental elements and willpower. And the melting process is almost impossible left to itself, but through logic and analysis, it is possible to dissipate it. Paying some taxes in the meantime for the delay. What are the taxes that we have to pay? Energy drainage, leakage, and there's no clarity, there's no mental clarity, foggy mind, we don't know why we are behaving in this way, etc., etc. That's the tax that we have to pay. And then we come to promising to ourselves. What all have you promised to yourself? Oh, from tomorrow morning, I will go walking in the morning. Every day I'll go walking. You promise to yourself, yes, now, you know what, I'm full of willpower. From tomorrow morning, I will remain healthy. From tomorrow morning, I'll do. One in the morning, I'll get 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. You forget the promise. What about the promises that you made to yourself? And promises to oneself is also a very serious matter, because in most cases, a person promises when he is in a higher state of consciousness or is soul infused. And a promise made from such a level evokes positive polarization from the lower vehicles. Positive polarization from the lower vehicles, my dear friends. But when the promise is not carried out, the positive polarization changes into negative polarization. And then the man on the personality level does exactly the opposite of what he promised in his inspirational or uplifted moments. And this eventually creates an intense inner conflict. For example, you do meditation, all right? You do meditation, or you say, from now on, I am going to live like a Buddha. I am going to live like a master. I am going to live like a Buddha. I am going to follow the teachings of Krishna. I am going to follow the teachings of Jesus, or, this is what I have to do. You are in a highly elevated consciousness when you're meditating. All right. And when you end the meditation, when you open your eyes, you come back to reality. Then you tell me whether you're living like a Buddha. Then you tell me whether you're living like a master. See, we make our promises to ourselves when we're in a highly elevated consciousness, and we do exactly the opposite when we come down to the reality, the lower level. Did this ever happen to you? Oh, I am going to be watchful of my words from now on. And when the eyes are closed, you're in highly elevated consciousness in meditation. Oh, I'm doing this. I am in oneness with everybody. The universe is within me. I'm one with the universe. The moment you open your eyes, everything is gone. Oneness is gone. Separatism comes in. Greed comes in. Everything comes in. Everything creeps in, and you do exactly the opposite that what you have promised to yourself. And a related situation also creates problems. And many people make various promises to their higher self. And when they do not carry them out, they try to hide from the light of the higher self and keep themselves busy with lower activities. Can you imagine yourself, taking a loan from somebody, but now you're not able to pay back that loan? What do? You hide. You try to run away from that person. That is what you do when you don't fulfill the promise made to the higher self. Can you ever hide from the higher self? That's a ridiculous joke, actually. You can never hide from the higher self. But you try to. You try your best. So that the person who's watching doesn't watch you anymore. And that will never happen. But promises made to the higher self can never be forgotten, because the higher self eventually creates those crises in your life in which you recollect yourself and meet your promises through painful experiences. Is that what you want? Nobody wants that. Then why be the cause for that? And it is also true that we promise on various levels with our false I. And because we change our levels very often, we create conflicting promises within our nature. And on each level, we see things from different viewpoints. We have different interests and also different relationships. All the factors combined force us to make various promises to ourselves and to others, which are often conflicting. And conflicts created in these ways do not contribute in our serenity and growth. Did you ever imagine that a promise can be so serious? Such effects, such influence it can make in our life. Have you ever imagined? The day that I learned about this subject, oh my God, I was blown away. And from then on, I try to be as mindful as possible before I make a promise, before I give my word. Because I don't want to lose my mental clarity. And there's one more other thing when promises are concerned. Expectations are not promises. I'll give you the same example. Okay? I did not promise Krish that I will come for lunch, but yet he expects that I come for lunch. That is not a promise. If you understand what I mean. Okay? I don't tell Krish, I don't tell Reena madam that I will come for lunch, but yet you prepare lunch for me and I don't turn up, you're getting angry. That is not my problem. Your expectation is not a promise, because I didn't say anything. I didn't promise anything. I didn't commit to anything. You can't get angry for something which I didn't tell you. Isn't it? So expectations are not promises, my dear friends. If you expect something from somebody which that other person did not promise you, Don't do that because it's not a promise. In expectations, you know what happens? You form a thought form, which may obsess you gradually if you feed it with your imagination and thoughts. And generally, expectations fade away with the source of inspiration. And when the source of inspiration does not show the evidence of support for your expectations. And it is very beneficial to clear your mind of the thought forms of expectations because they consume a great amount of energy from your mental, emotional, and etheric nature. And they create diffusion in your mind, which makes you take unreasonable actions of attitudes. So what did we learn about? Promises to ourselves, promises to others, and promises made from the different false eyes, promises to the higher self. And now we come to the most seriously made promises, which are called as vows, oaths. When you get married, you take a vow, isn't it? Every religion has a different, way of doing this. But every married couple takes a vow during their wedding, isn't it? So are vows also the same, or are they a little bit different? Vows are of a higher order, my dear friends. They not only, have etheric, emotional, and mental forces and the energy of the will, but they're also associated with the devas and the higher beings. Devas and the higher beings. In Hindu culture, they make vows around the fire. And the violation of vows creates serious disturbances in man's subtle bodies and his relation with the subjective forces. And in, as we go higher, our words, promises, and vows are taken more seriously because they're connected with speech and thought. The more elevated that we become on our spiritual level, the more mindful we have to be of our speech energy. This is energy. Don't just blabber. Don't just blurt things out. Be mindful. Think 10 times before you give your word, promise, or anything. And on higher levels, my dear friends, speech and thought are agents of creative forces which bring into manifestation and objectification the things about which we think and talk. You know, na, that, when we energy creates things. It doesn't matter what it creates. Speech is energy. Thought is energy. We may not give that much importance to this, but it really creates a lot of influence in our lives, in our mind, in our relationships, with ourselves, with the higher self, and with others. And in breaking our vows, my dear friends, you start a destructive process within the forms and relationships which you have been building with your vows. And this destruction affects your higher and lower vehicles in many, many, many ways. And it is possible to break the vows if they were taken under pressure or in a state of unconsciousness, or if the vows interfere in your relationships with greater principles, laws, and service. And if this is the case, the vows must be analyzed, brought into the light of your present consciousness, and cancelled. As simple as that. It has to be done very, very, very consciously, in a very matured way, on a spiritual level, not on the physical, emotional, and mental levels. Go higher, my dear friends, go higher. Let us stop living in the personality level, personality vehicles, and go higher in meditation. As I have already said, that, what is spirituality? Spirituality means not functioning from the physical, emotional, or mental level. Spiritual, if I want to call myself spiritual, it means that I function from a soul level 365 days a year, 24 by 7. That is when I can call myself spiritual. Physical, emotional, mental are called the personality vehicles, and this is the soul. Either we are being run by this or run by this. Either we are the master of this or slaves of this. As simple as that. So, my dear friends, we must start to practice living in the light of our soul and see things as they are. So, please bear in mind the importance of promises and to not make it lightly, to not just make it just because it is the norm or the society or it's good behavior, good manners, or you want to be called as a good boy or a good girl. Don't do that. When you ask, how are you? Mean it. Otherwise, don't ask. And Patriji was asked, Swamiji, if I don't ask you, how are you? What else should I say to you? If I want to greet you, say hi, hello, namaste, Sarji. That's all. Why say how are you? I see you can look at me. I am so hale and healthy now. Why are you saying why are you asking me how are you? That is what he used to say. You're looking at me, you're meeting me, and you're seeing that I'm perfectly fine. So why do you still ask how are you? Okay, Baba, I am in depression. Will you come and sit with me? No, na. Then why are you asking how are you? So, yes, my dear friends, that is the science of promises that I promised that I will take and have fulfilled my promise. So, there you are. And please be mindful because as you go higher and higher and higher in the spiritual evolution, you need to be very, very, very mindful of the energy that you're giving out with your speech and your thought. Thank you very much, my dear friends, my dear masters, my dear gods, for staying with me and for being here through this. Yes, and if anybody wants to say anything, I've given the unmute option. You can speak, ask, anything you want to say.
Thank you very much, Akka, for wonderful sharing of these promises. What kind of promises we are unconsciously doing for the sake of others.
Can you speak a little louder? Yeah.
Able to hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we unconsciously promise so many things for the sake of others, and even one more important thing, we do self-promise so many things. I will now onwards, but we keep pushing it, and we keep postponing it with a laziness or whatever it might be. Yeah, those are points very well resonated actually, and I really admire you so much actually, because though the time we spent when you were in UK, it was very little, but I could sense that how conscious you are when you are speaking each and everything. And you resonate what you are actually telling as well. Okay, don't miss something which you are not sure of, and that is something very admiring for me, and it is very inspiring me actually, and I'm trying to follow that as well. So that is one thing I learned so much from you. being conscious, being mindful, not to tell something for the sake of pleasing others. So that is one very good thing I admired from you and inspired from you, and I'm trying to practice that as well. Thank you very much, Akka.
Thank you, Krish. Thank you. Yes, this is what I have
Thank you,
learned.
Akka, for such an
Yes, Manju.
enlightening. Thank you, Akka, for such an enlightening session.
Yeah. And guys, I think 2 days ago it was Manjula's birthday. Can we all wish Manjula very, very, very happy birthday? All of us.
Thank you, Akka. Thank you very much.
Belated happy birthday, Manjula garu.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Belated many happy returns of the day, Manjula ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
She is
much.
a beautiful soul who has a great purpose in this life, and such a pure person, and such a gentle being that I have met. And she's a lovely, lovely person, and she has a very great purpose that she is going to soon fulfill. And UK is very, very fortunate to have her there. And she's going to take meditation and her experiences everywhere. And yeah, I'm very, very happy that I met her somewhere.
I'm so happy to meet a great soul like you, Akka. I'm so honored and I'm so grateful.
This is a wonderful team that I met there. So yeah, thank you for that opportunity. Yes, wonderful. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, my
Thank
dear
you.
friends. Thank you, Krish. Thank you, Manjula. Thank you. Yes, my dear friends. Anybody wants to share or ask any questions regarding promises? And I'm sure that it's all very crystal clear, whatever has been spoken to. And this particular subject has been taken from a book called the Leadership Series Volume 2, written by 𝗕𝗏𝗺. So everything that I read books, I want to share. 𝗕𝗏𝗺 books have inspired me a lot. And that's the reason why I'm sharing all these things. Because all of it made sense to me. And I hope it makes sense to you as well. Yes, my dear masters. No questions? No question is either you understood everything or you did not understand anything. So either one could be the possibility. That's what Patri used to say. Like, why are you asking no questions? You didn't understand what? Or you understood everything, you have no questions. Either one of the cases would be there. So I hope it's the latter, that you have understood everything. I hope it's the latter.
Okay, just one question.
Yes.
Some promises we forget, right? So how to remember or how to recollect?
Yeah, use your meditation
Suppose
power to
we
increase your use your meditation to increase your memory power, and that will help you remember all the promises that you have made. Just remember as much as you can. Don't push yourself too hard and go towards the past too much. Whatever you can remember, just fulfill it. From now on, at least remember your promises. Okay, what has been done in the past, how much ever you can remember, you fulfill them as of now. From now on, let's be mindful. That's all we can do, na? Yeah. So don't take too much of pressure.
Yeah.
Just remember what you can fulfill. That's about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. All right. So I'll see you once again next time. Next week I'll not be there to give a class. So that's why I will not make a fake promise. So I will let you know when the next masterclass will be. Thank you so much, my dear friends. Thank you.
Thank you.